Liquidity conditions could further improve if European policy rates decline as much as the market expects. However, the optimistic outlook must be tempered by acknowledging potential headwinds, particularly the specter of renewed trade tensions. The return of America First trade policies introduces uncertainty into global supply chains and trade relationships that have only recently stabilized. True. No one really knows where these tariffs are going to net out. I'm trying to crack the code on this, and the story on tariffs continue to evolve. I'm going to pull up a post here that shows some of this evolution. Where we were a few weeks ago was this term of reciprocity. They shifted from tariffs as a source of revenue, as a way to displace income tax. Remember that? They said, hey, tariffs, we don't need income tax. Oh, I would love that. I don't think that's realistic, though. I don't think it really makes sense either. But they moved from revenue to reciprocity. I like reciprocity a lot because it's very hard for GM to sell, or Chrysler or Tesla, to sell into France and compete against Renault, or to sell into Italy and compete against Fiat, or sell into Germany and compete against BMW, Mercedes. Like, reciprocal makes sense. Like, pry open those international markets, bring the best out, bring competition out. I thought that made a lot of sense. So this, I thought, was a good shift, but we have another shift. So I think the issue is that it's very hard to come up with a coherent, rational tariff policy. It's difficult because if you squeeze in one area, then there's a consequence felt elsewhere. Here's an example. So this was based on a Washington Post article on tariffs that came out last week. Trump denied it. The street view is that it is a credible report, though. So it goes on to say that policy continues to evolve. We were at bilateral and reciprocal. That's what I just showed you a few weeks ago. Now we're at universal and targeted. So, well, how does that work? So if you have tariffs on steel, that protects American steel, but it increases defense costs. Take a look at Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, General Dynamics. These are all in bear markets. And Trump wants Europe to pay their fair share for NATO, which makes a lot of sense. Canada contributes like 1% of their GDP to NATO. They are getting subsidized. Europe, on average, is getting subsidized on NATO. It's true. But how are they going to buy Raytheon if you've got tariffs on these names? Okay, Raytheon is up today in a downtrend. Oh, defense stocks are cranking today. Interesting, huh? Let's see if that's sustained or renewed, but that is interesting. It helps to look at these charts, right? But notwithstanding this recent, again, one-day move, we'll see. But you can see 265 divided by 315. 216 divided by 315. We'll do the math. 265. Yeah, it's about a 16% bear market. Before today, it was around 18%. So 16%, 8% correction, right? So how do those industries compete and win if you have tariffs, right? So foreign dependence, eliminate foreign dependence. I think that makes a lot of sense. But how does that work if you've got a dependency on rare earth materials from China? Why not exhaust the supplies from China before slapping tariffs on rare earth materials from China that we need? It's hard to do that. How do you, if you squeeze here, you pay a cost there. So I think that's the tension that they're facing. Another one is like these manufacturing jobs. I don't know anyone that wants a manufacturing job. I really don't. I don't know anyone that wants to have their sons or daughters work at a car factory. These are hazardous jobs, dealing with like heavy electrical equipment, get a gear on you. Like, that's where workman's compensation comes into play. Like, those jobs should be automated away with robotics. It's not the future. Manufacturing is really not the future. The future manufacturing is robotic manufacturing, what Tesla's doing, actually. And then you got the service economy. So I think that's the issue. I think they're struggling to craft a coherent tariff, but there's a way to do it, I believe, actually. I think back where they were not too long ago with the whole idea of reciprocal and bilateral tariffs, I thought that made a lot of sense. Pry open markets and to have a competitive, open, level playing field. But they're not there yet.